Vault number 51 is Trevor Gillmeister. Gilly is in elite company, having captained Queensland to a State of Origin Series clean sweep. Trevor Gillmeister played for 4 NRL clubs in a distinguished career: Eastern Suburbs, Brisbane, Penrith and the South Queensland Crushers. Trevor was a member of 2 premiership-winning sides with the Brisbane Broncos, playing in the 1992 and 93 winning teams. In 1995, Trevor was selected to play for Australia and in doing so became the oldest player to make his Test debut at 31. Gilly played 22 Origin matches for Queensland, 4 of those as captain. Well, Trevor Gillmeister, thanks for joining us. What does it mean to you to be a FOG?
Mate, I'm very proud to be a FOG. Obviously, to watch those blokes, beforehand, and especially Arthur Beetson, for me, what he did in that first Origin game was unbelievable at his age. To take on New South Wales as he did, and then obviously you get to look at blokes like Wally and that. So I played against Wally early days when I was at Norse, and then you come in to play with those great players. You got to pinch yourself and say, oh, geez, I'm pretty lucky here.
Well, you made your debut in 87. I suppose the embryonic stage almost of what Origin is nowadays. What was it like back then, pre the Broncos being in the NRL, to be involved in a Queensland Origin side?
Yeah, it was quite daunting, actually, to be honest, because I think myself and Elf were the only 2 new players into the team, and that the majority of that team had been together for a fair while. And I was playing at the Roosters at the time, and because there was no Broncos here, as you said. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. And Arthur was my coach, and idolised Arthur, and he was like a second father to me down there. And I had to pinch myself that he come and told me that I've been picked, and it was kind of. I can remember it like it happened yesterday, So he just said, go enjoy it. He said, you're made for this. You'll love this. I thought, oh, how good's this? But it's still daunting because how many good players, probably Origin's a different style of game, stuff. And I was so fortunate to have Paul Vaughton as my roommate, and he was, laugh your head off, but he taught me how to relax a lot more, and Fatty's, what you see with Fatty is what you get. And I thought you had to be like really wound up and cranky all the time, to play footy, to get out there and play footy, and that wasn't the case. So he showed me how to relax a bit more. He didn't do it on purpose. That was him, So, and then I just watched him and just loved playing at that level then, because after a couple of the first game, and we got beaten the first game, and we won our next 2. And Fatty said, mate, you'll love this stuff. It's, I remember Greg Dowling walking into the room into our room, and I got up and said, oh, Mr. Dowling. He said, oh, it's GD Gilly, and he said a few things, he said, and then he just said, well, mate, you'll love this shit. You're born to do this. And just walked out of the room. And Fatty's laughing. He said, oh, he loves this Origin, And I said, oh, that's fantastic. You still get goosebumps when you think about it.
What association had you had with some of the other Brisbane-based players like Wally and Gene Miles, etc., before you went to Sydney? So was this the first time you really had any association with those?
Yeah, well, I didn't have any association with the boys then, because Arthur was the one who gave me like a chance, an opportunity to go down there. And Greg Kinescu was probably, I'd met Turtle. He was a Norse boy originally, but he was playing he went to Redcliffe there for a little bit. But he was probably the only one I kind of really knew with any like kicking back at on life in general. But Turtle's so good. He's one of the toughest blokes I've ever played footy with, Greg Kinescu. But yeah, it was daunting. There's no doubt about that. Walking in there to all these superstars and not knowing if you can go to that level. Yeah.
When did you realise that you were made for it? What was the turning point for you to realise you're an Origin player?
I think the first game we played the first game, and obviously, and I knew I could. I remember Fatty and some of the team said, "Don't hold back because the game will go that quick." You know, but that's the best tip I ever got was the game will go that fast, so don't stand back and watch. You know what I mean? Get in there and so I thought, oh, okay. So I made a point of doing that, and I thought, well, yeah, okay, that was hard. It's the fastest game I've ever played, and your lungs are burning, and you know, blah. And I thought, well, physically, I thought, I'll handle myself okay, and I thought, well, I know what to expect the next game. So it was daunting, but it was good to know that you can, play at that level.
And surrounded by some of the greatest players ever to play the game. Yeah. At the time, did you realise what you were involved in?
No, not really. But I remember looking at training and going to training, and just the level it stepped up. Just gone up 5 levels to club football. And when you see the back line, well, Alpha's only a young fella, but then Wally, Mel, Gino, Colin Scott, and Rowdy, Dallas, all these. And our back line was bigger than our forward pack, I think, at the time. But it was just, and then get to play with, Fatty as a second row partner, and Bobby Lindner and Greg Dowling and Marty Bella, and that was it was just it was a great team, and it kind of just gives you confidence. And I think the best thing about playing in those good teams is you just worry about yourself. You don't have to worry about the bloke beside you, because he's gonna do his job.
Were you, as a young bloke that went to school in regional Queensland, but then to Brisbane and played with the North Devils, and seeing the birth of Origin, you no doubt were aware of the impact it had on the state of Queensland. But did you gain an even greater understanding once you started playing and saw what the reaction was from around the state?
Yeah, it's not till you, because there's no doubt they live more in a bubble nowadays than we did, but you still had your own little bubble going on, for Queensland, and it's not till you get out of that bubble that you, and a lot of my friends are, regional people, and I used to go up there and, holidays and stuff like that, and then people are yelling your name out and things like that, and you stuck it to them, and I'm going, oh yeah, okay. They kind of, you realised it was just more than a game, that they lived and breathed it.
One of the greatest series of all time, 1995, when you captained the team in the middle of the Super League War, a side that was just brought together of players that were loyal to the ARL. You were named as captain. Paul Vaughton was your coach. 3-0 series win. Can you encapsulate what that meant at the time, but also what it's meant to you since then?
Yeah, I think it actually was so good for the game. And I still remember Fatty rang me and said, he said, oh, you're right for Origin this year. I said, well, what's going on? Who can play and who can't? Because there was always these rumours getting around. He said, the Super League aligned clubs can't play. And I said, shit, Queensland's going to be light on for numbers, and he went, no, we'll be right. He said, I'm the coach. And I started laughing and geeing up, and he said, there's something funnier, you're captain. and as soon as that, and I thought, this is, pretty monumental, and we don't want to get spanked here, because everyone was thinking we're going to get belted. And a lot of Queenslanders thought we were going to get belted as well. Don't worry about that. They wouldn't say it outwardly, and I thought, oh, okay, and I still remember and I think, I'm not 100% on this. If you go back on the numbers, we had more Origin games, the Queenslanders, than New South Wales did. I'm not 100% on that, but because Corny played a lot of games, and Gavin Allen, I would have played a few. Mark Hone, we all played a few games together in Origin, but it was daunting, no doubt about that. But it was more of a challenge for me personally, and I said that to the players, and I still remember their first team meeting at the old Travelodge, and we all got in there and sat down, and Fatty said a few things, asked me to say a few things, and then he asked Choppy to get up and tell him, because we had 10 debutants, and he asked Choppy to say what it meant to him to play for Queensland, the first game and the other games he played, and Choppy got the old sausage lips and said 6 words, and he couldn't talk anymore, and he had to sit down, and Robbie O'Davis was sitting beside me. He said, "Give me a jersey, I want to play now." And I went, "How good's this?" You know what I mean? So, and it was amazing to be a part of it. But it's probably one of my proudest moments, I think, on the footy field. Yeah, there's no doubt about that.
Was it the first time you captained a side?
No, I captained a few sides when I was younger, but
not at the elite professional level.
No. I see, and I say this to kids all the time. I never made a rep side when I was a kid, too small or whatever. That okay, and my first one was the Brisbane under-18 side. I played for Brisbane then, and my next one was Origin. So I said, don't be cut up if you don't miss out. If you do miss out on rep teams when you're a kid and stuff like that. Because a lot of the time there's a bit of politics involved, with kid sport a lot of the time and things like that. But that's I think it's if you're prepared to work hard and you go on and do all those things, you remember when you're an adult. You don't remember when you're a kid. Yeah.
Of course, in 1995, the final game, you're in hospital. You're pretty crook and managed somehow to get onto the field. How serious was it, and was there any ever chance you're going to miss that game?
It was. It's maybe blown out of proportion a little bit, but I had some Roy Saunders, the doctor, who obviously been involved with Queensland for a long time. I had blood poisoning. He put me in the. Actually, I got stood on in Melbourne, and I got a bit of a laceration inside of my knee, and it started getting a bit red and things like that, and I'm going, that doesn't look too good, and I went and seen Roy obviously it was from the second game, and I always pretty well look after myself when it comes to things like that, and I was cleaning at it all the time, doing the right thing, and it kept getting worse, and I went and seen Roy. He said, "Oh, you buffhead, you've got some major infection in there anyway." So they took me, put me on a drip for a couple of days, and then come out of the hospital and back in my hotel room, and Tosser, Fatty and Choppy and the doc were in the room, and they had to make a decision, and I thought I was going to get ruled out, to be honest, and I thought don't want to miss out on this game. And anyway, I was sitting there, not much talking going on, and the doc said, the poison can go throughout his system. He said, and Choppy said, "Well, what's the worst scenario?" He said, "Oh, you could die. That's the worst scenario." And Choppy went, "I couldn't think of a better place to die than Lang Park." And anyway, and he was obviously joking, of course. But and then Fatty said, "Listen, if I had the opportunity to go out there, we're going to win. We're going to win 3-0. He said to pick up that shield. Everyone's going to cart you around the field, hold that shield up, and then go on, and win 3-0. He said, "Mate, I'll be doing it." I said, "Why didn't you say that bloody 2 hours ago?" And so it was, so it was a great. like I didn't want to let the boys down too, because I know physically I probably wasn't. I'd lost a fair bit of weight and stuff like that. I was no way in the world I could go 80 minutes, but I went 65 minutes or something like that. And I thought, you didn't want to let them down or be the one, the weak link in the team, but because we done so well beforehand. But yeah, the players played fantastic.
And after all of that, you ended up representing your country as well, playing 3 Test matches against New Zealand.
Yep. We won all 3 too. Yeah.
So what was that experience like at a turbulent time as well?
Yeah, no, it was. The first one was at Lang Park to the first Test, and then that was fantastic. I mean, to be able to play for your country, as Queenslanders, we build up Origin so much, and that's rightfully so. But to pull the green and gold on, because I never thought I'd ever be able to do that, because and not having a crack at anyone, but there were blokes in my positions that were bigger and and whatever, and that the different coaches at different times wanted the different styles of players. So that's life, and I didn't think I'd ever get a chance. And when Bob Fulton got me in the team, and Arthur was one of the selectors, that might have helped. But yeah, I think it was a tremendous honour, to be able to do that for your family as well. It's a good thing.
Well, how would you like to be the owner of one of these? A FOGS authentic game ball signed by Wally Lewis at the 2023 Wally Lewis medalist Reuben Cotter. Now, all you have to do is subscribe, like, and drop a comment below. And each week, gentlemen, we'll be giving away one of these footballs to one of the viewers of the FOGS Queenslander podcast. Well done.
Well, it's good to be able to hand them on to the general public who like it, as long as we don't get blamed for breaking one of Mum's windows when they're kicking it around the backyard or tossing it around.
But this will be framed in a nice
Reuben Cotter's name. Wow.
Do you know how to subscribe and like and do all that, Gilly? No?
Oh. We can help you, mate. We can help
you. Help me out, fellas.
The 2 daughters can help him out.
So we have one of these to give away each week until stocks run out, until Wally gets sick and tired of signing them and Reuben Cotter disappears. But just subscribe to our channel, FOGS Queenslander Podcast. Write a comment below and click that like button. Everyone goes into the draw, and we've got one of these to give away each week. Well, Arthur, you mentioned earlier, got you down to Eastern Suburbs after your time at North Devils, 5 years there. How did you then end up back in Brisbane?
Well, Wayne actually rang me to come back for the start of the Broncos, but I was never going to leave the Roosters while Arthur was still there, because he was the one to give me an opportunity. A lot of people, and that's everyone's entitled to their opinion, said I go okay in the Brisbane comp, but wouldn't make it down in Sydney. And I said, I had a bit of a point to prove to myself mainly and other people. But Arthur was just an absolute legend in my eyes. As I said, like a father figure. And then when he had a bit of a blow up with the management, what happened when he left, I thought, well, this might be, and I got a phone call from Wayne and John Rebo, said we'd like you to come back. The timing, I was captain of the Roosters at the time, and kind of thought, maybe time to come home. This is a good opportunity to come back to Brisbane with the Broncos. Life's about timing, as we know, and I thought, well, this is a good opportunity.
Well, the timing was pretty much perfect, because within 12 months, you're in a 92, 93, the premiership winning era, the start of the premiership winning run for the Brisbane Broncos. Yeah. What was it like for a Queensland boy coming home to Brisbane to be a member of that Broncos side? Yeah,
it was, fantastic. Obviously full house every game, then get to, I couldn't actually, I'm still kind of, not baffled, but amazed at when we won the grand final in '92, that the amount of people that were at the airport, then back at the town square, then back at the Leagues Club, and it was just amazing. And I think that puts it in perspective a bit more when you see all those people and you go, holy moly, all the cars, from the airport, leading here and back into Red Hill and the city and that. It was quite unbelievable, and to be part of a club's first their first grand final, although they won one in reserve grade as well. But I thought that was fantastic. As I said before, timing. Life's about timing. Yeah.
Well, then you did it again the next year too. Is that that 92-93 Brisbane Broncos side the greatest group of players at a club level you played with?
Oh, no doubt about it. That's I played with other blokes that would love to play in that side, and good players. But I mean, we probably just had everything covered. You know what I mean? Like, and don't get me wrong as well. You need a bit of luck, as I said before. And 92, I think there was I'm not sure of the exact figure, but there was 9 or 10 of us never missed a game all year. You know what I mean? So that plays a huge part. Winning a grand final, that combinations and all that type of thing. And I think it was just a magnificent side.
And chemistry too, though, Gilly. I mean, you are still great mates with Alfie and Kevy, and Glenn Lazarus is with Kevy, and you all seem to. It was a perfect jigsaw, wasn't it?
Yeah, you're right. And I still catch up with Gavin Allen, Jed all the time, and I see Terry Madison, Mark Hone, seen Canny recently, but we're all pretty thick, and I think obviously wanting grand finals helps that, when you're winning, life's good, that's a fact. But I don't know, for some reason, mate, we enjoyed each other's company too as well, so we played together, obviously, and a good little synergy on the field, as you said, but we were just really good mates off the field as well, so which is great.
They were the highs of club football, and you had a year at Penrith, and then you came back for the start of the South Queensland Crushers, who sadly basically were in the wrong spot at the wrong time.
100%. I'm glad you said that.
Yeah. I mean, you look through that Crushers side that you led, young Clinton Chivosky, Scott Sattler, Clinton O'Brien, Aaron Mule, the names just roll off the tongue.
Mark Tukey,
etc. A lot of people look back on the Crushers with a so what attitude. But it was describe that. Describe that time of your career.
Yeah, no, it was disappointing. I don't mind saying because I felt let down, and I know Tosser wouldn't mind me saying that. He's a handshake man, right? Tosser Turner, unbelievable. And I worked for him. As I said, was a boilermaker. I used to repair his ship containers when I was a kid. It's another story, but I actually agreed to go to Redcliffe because he wanted anyway, but that didn't come about. So don't tell the Norse boys, please. But the big thing was Tosser was a man of his word. And obviously the Super League hierarchy wanted the Crushers because they got all of Queensland then, haven't they? Super League, and they would apparently toss big money. And I was close with Tosser, and I was privy to a couple of conversations he had with the hierarchy, and he said to me, I know this is probably the wrong thing. We should have gone with the money. He said, but I'm a man of my word. I gave the ARL my word that we'd stay loyal, and we'll stay loyal. And I just take my hat off to him, for that, because he could have taken the easy run and probably still be here. Who knows? Well, who knows? Who knows what would have happened?
No, I agree, because Redcliffe, it was basically a Redcliffe consortium. Really. Tosser
of course it was.
In there. Darryl Vanderveld was going to be coached the CEO.
Exactly right. Yeah.
So, that was, I suppose, a learning experience too for you, the difficulties of, being involved in a club that was struggling?
Well, yeah. I was offered, when I left Penrith, and that's another story, but Royce Simmons come in to coach, Phil Gould left, and I got offered by Tosser a job for life at the Crushers. He said, you got a job here for life. Whatever you want to do, whether it's in coaching, administration, it's up to you what you want to do. He said, you want to have 12 months off, 18 months off? He said, it's up to you. And I said, well, I can't knock that back, you know what I mean? So, and I went to Royce Simmons and told him, and he'd not long retired, and love Royce, and he said, no, Gilly, you can't knock that back. And so I went, and I really enjoyed my time at Penrith, and but yeah, and to have that happen, and I don't mind saying I was dirty on the ARL at the time because they
Sacrificial lambs.
well, Tosser stayed loyal, but they didn't stay loyal. So it's a two-way street, you know. So I don't mind saying had the shits for a while, for a couple of years, and I thought, you know, it left a bad taste in my mouth, you know, and I thought, oh, you know, you got to get over it down the track and whatever, and then I went get back to coaching kids and stuff like that, you know. So yeah, I mean, I love the game, and the game's been good to me, but yeah, that was probably one of the you know, the bad taste in my mouth that left.
Well, let's talk about some positives here, Gilly. Who is your favourite player to play with?
Oh, geez, that's very, very tough to play with, and like I always, you know, remember Wally. There's things he could do on the footy field, just unbelievable. You know, Alf. You know, it's tough to pick one bloke, but yeah, probably Wally's probably the man.
Is there a favourite moment on the field that stands out, whether it be full time in a grand final win, running out in a test match, whatever it may be?
I don't mind saying it. I'm talking out of school a bit, but I mean, and when Pearl run that, you know, that 90-metre try they scored, I said to him at half time, because he wasn't doing much. He was cruising, you know what I mean? And I said to him at half time, are you going to have a crack today? You know what I mean? And he went, oh, what? And so he reminded me about it. Reminded me, sorry, about it the other week. And I give him not a spray, but I just said, mate, you know, you're doing nothing. And then obviously when and I was standing at about hour 20 going, go. I knew he's going to score, you know. And he come back and he said, is that good enough for you? I said, yeah, that's all right now. Yeah.
Is there a favourite game that stands out that you played in?
The '89 Origin in Sydney, when we had everyone busted, you know, when Mel broke his cheekbone, Elf broke his leg, Bobby Lindner played 20 minutes with a broken leg, Mickey Hancock hurt his shoulder. We were busted, and I remember, like, and not because it was probably me that stood out, and Wally, when I hit Bradley Clyde in a decent tackle and the ball come out, Hagues picked the ball up, ran 10, 20 metres and passed it on the Wally. That's when Wally scored, scored, and he stood up and went like that. And I remember, because he did, because the New South Wales crowd that night clapped us, because they realised that, you know, what we done was pretty special, you know what I mean? So, and with the players are out, you know, gun players obviously. I don't think we had anyone on the bench, and Mickey Hancock was running around with a busted shoulder for 20 minutes, and Wally said, turn around and listen to this. This will never happen again. I said, yeah, sweet. But I always say to Wally, I said, yeah, mate, that try. I said, how'd you get the ball, mate?
Is there a player from any era, Gilly, that you never got the chance to play with that you would love to have played with?
Honestly, and not because they're forwards, but I would love to play with blokes like Nate Miles and Cameron Smith, you know what I mean? Those blokes, you know, Ashley Harrison, you know, those blokes are kind of never going to let you down type of blokes. You know, Dallas Johnson, you know, like to pack in with them blokes and go, how good's this, you know what I mean? And Matt Scott is another one, you know, just, you know, their work ethic and never say die attitude, and just nothing phased them, you know what I mean? Like they didn't get upset about anything. They just got out there and did their job, you know, they're good blokes.
Well, on that note, I suppose, who was the someone you'd love playing alongside of that you looked next to you and thought, how good's this?
Gavin Allen's probably one of the blokes I think of, you know what I mean? And like tough as nails, Jed, you know, and, you know, he never said a lot. And because that even in that 95 series, you know, I knew if him and Tony Hearn didn't get on top of Mark Carroll and Paul Harrigan, that we weren't going to win. You know what I mean? So I remember talking to Jed before the kickoff in Sydney, the first game, and I said, Jed, so what about Chief and Mark Carroll pushing off the back fence, you know? And I said, what about those two at the back? What about I hit them up under the guts all night? And I might have said it a bit differently than that, but anyway, but up in the guts all night, and you just do what you got to do over the top, you know what I mean? And Jed just said, sounds good to me, bud. Let's give it to him. You know what I mean? I thought, how good's this? You know what I mean? So, yeah, but yeah, he's probably one of them. But yeah, there's plenty others, yeah.
The biggest influence on your career?
Oh, my footy career was Arthur Beetson. Yeah, without a doubt, yeah.
Just finally, looking back over your career, as we sit here, reflecting, how do you reflect on 22 Origin, 3 Tests, premiership winning career?
Oh, no, I just kind of, the thing that I'm kind of proud of is I got the most out of myself. I wasn't the most talented, you know, the quickest, you know, the biggest or whatever, but I got the best out of myself, you know what I mean? And that's what Dad always told me. He said, you know, if you, and it still sticks in my head when I was 15, he said, if you can tackle someone one-on-one on the footy field, you'll always make the team. And I thought, that makes sense, you know what I mean? So if you don't need someone to give you a hand, you know, all the time, you know, in different situations, I thought, yeah, that makes a bit of sense, you know. So me and my brother had a lot of one-on-one battles in the backyard, I can tell you.
Gilly, thanks so much for your time. Congratulations on a wonderful career.
No, appreciate it, mate. Thank you.
Thanks for watching this episode of the FOGS Queenslander Podcast. If there's a FOG you want to hear from, leave a comment to let us know. And don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss any of our videos.